Do you want to tackle this NVIDIA clip that we teased earlier?
I think Fugatto, it's time for the Fugatto.
Fugatto is this, I guess it's a technology.
Yeah, it's not the Fugazi.
Right, which is going to help you, NVIDIA says, turn text into music or sound. Take a listen to this.
Fugatto is the latest generative AI breakthrough from NVIDIA. This new model allows you to create sounds, speech, and music from text and audio inputs. You can guide Fugatto to create unexpected sound effects, where familiar sounds take on surprising new qualities and invoke new experiences.
It goes on later, Jim. You can take written music and say, make this sound like an opera singer, scatting, jazz.
We did, yeah. It really is pretty amazing because this is all about what Jensen Huang, the CEO.
And that was his voice, by the way. He's voicing that. I believe that was him.
Well, he wants very much to demonstrate that this is a creative product, not unlike what you can do with an Adobe, the Canva, so to speak. And I think that Jensen...
I don't understand. They make chips. How are they offering this product? They're getting into the consumer market?
Because it's a software stack. That's why all these people who keep saying
and I get it.
that it's going to run out, it's a software company.
I understand
It's
that.
not, I mean, and think about all the iterations of software. That's what it is.
This is a consumer product. Like, how are they getting... I don't know. They're not a consumer company.
No, not at all. But you can go to Dell. You go to Michael Dell. You can get this put on. I mean, if you're...
You can get Fugatto.
Look up... Yeah, you can get Fugatto. I mean, if I were Disney, I'd get Fugatto.
Oh, my gosh. It reminds me of what Affleck told you about the effects business.
Yes.
What must they be saying at Skywalker Sound today?
I mean, well, David Ellison, listen, we don't really know the strategy, so to speak, at Paramount when he takes over, but you've got to believe a lot of it will involve this. In other words, using AI in effective ways. Now, Affleck will tell you can't replace people and the creative process, but
and Benioff said that
you certainly can replace many different things in the actual process of movie making that will make it more efficient.
Well, I think Jensen's about making everybody be able to be creative. Just like Shantanu and Ryan from Adobe. You get that, and we can have people who are sitting around trying to become the next Sondheim, and bingo. I mean, Sondheim was unbelievable.
The Adobe analog makes perfect sense. Why then is NVIDIA down 3 since the election and S&P's up 3?
Well, NVIDIA had a lot of hot money in it, and NVIDIA goes down when they report the quarter because there's a lot of people who really, they are in it for the quarter because they had that May quarter last year where the stock had one of the biggest advances in history. And they keep thinking that if they play NVIDIA, it's going to happen again. And my advice to them is stop playing. Be serious investors. Don't trade NVIDIA and figure out what NVIDIA does besides being my late dog.
Should they be in the software stack or the chip stack?
They just need to know that it is a software company. It is a software company, and that's what's so great about it, and that's why it's not going to run out. And by the way, Amazon, can we just, if I have to read one more story about Amazon doing a NVIDIA killer, ask Andy Jassy, particularly during that Friday game. They're not. They're trying to make enough chips because Jensen says, I can't. I wish I could make more chips for you. I'm so sorry. But Zuckerberg gets them, and we give AI, and Indonesia.
Musk got some XAI.
Yeah, so they don't have enough. So what's Amazon supposed to do? Just sit around and say, you know what, we're screwed?
So your point is they're not really creating a competitive chip to NVIDIA.
Yes, and Amazon has yet to endorse the AMD AI chip. When you see that, then I might say that there's a bit of competition.
Do you think, Jim, that there's any weakness in NVIDIA as a result of this, I discussed yesterday, the deceleration in the rate of improvement for these foundation models, they're pre-training?
No, absolutely not, because it's all about any one of what video is going to be. And video is, these people are not understanding video. I mean, the idea that you can go and look at every single picture ever and then decide how to pitch a perfect game and look, your son's a pitcher, that's why I mentioned. Or a quarterback.
No,
your son's like everything. He's a quarterback.
He's nothing anymore. He's a working man now. That's all he is.
Don't ever say your son's nothing.
No, we're on TV. You know what I mean. He's no longer.
But he's scarred by that.
He's no longer participating in organized athletics for his college teams. Yes, so he's done with that.
Okay, but I'm just saying that NVIDIA is not the company people think. NVIDIA is about trying to figure out, as Jensen did with this, how to do video, how to think beyond what we currently think. And it can go down. It's up a lot, but it's still up more than almost every stock. I mean,
NVIDIA unveiling a new AI audio generator today dubbed Fugatto, saying the program can create entirely new sounds. Won't be released to the public, but NVIDIA is betting that the demo will help inspire customers to push the limits of AI. Our Deirdre Bosa has more in today's Tech Check. Tell us about this, Deirdre.
Okay, well, Sarah, AI-generated audio, let me first say that's not new, but in creating never-before-heard sounds, Fugatto does represent a leap forward. Here's an example from NVIDIA's demo. This is a saxophone howling, then barking, then electronic music with dogs barking. You can only hear it to believe it. Now, NVIDIA isn't exactly known as a consumer product company, and it does not have plans to make this tool widely available, but that's not the point here. NVIDIA has a long history of creating products as part of its own moonshot factory that's meant to inspire its customers or create new products or lead to the evolution of its own technology. Like its Android-based Shield back in 2013, this was a portable hybrid gaming console. There was a niche product, but it helped lay the groundwork for mainstream consoles that would come later, like the Nintendo Switch, which is also a hybrid console and use the NVIDIA Tegra processors. NVIDIA's own DGX, this is its supercomputer in a box for AI tasks. It was created in part from learnings from a Shield streaming box, also part of this Project Shield. It would get NVIDIA familiar with supply chain management and hardware-software integration that has been so crucial for modern-day NVIDIA. Jensen Huang recently spoke about this on a podcast with ARM CEO Rene Haas. At the time, they say it was utterly unobvious that there was a market fit for this Shield product.
It was my excuse to turn NVIDIA into a systems company.
Yeah.
And people will ask me, the DGX1, which is the computer that changed everything.
Right.
Well, how did that come about? Well, DGX1 is just a very large shield.
DGX is now, of course, a cornerstone of the NVIDIA ecosystem and critical to its AI leadership. The first one, by the way, hand-delivered by Jensen Huang himself to OpenAI back in 2016. Going back to Fugatto, though, guys, and what it could inspire: creative music composition, new soundscapes in Hollywood movies, more immersive VR worlds, advertising campaigns. The idea is that someone out there seeing or hearing that demo that we showed you guys a part of might go back to NVIDIA and ask to learn more or build on top of it. But also, as is often the case in generative AI, Fugatto could raise new ethical and legal questions like copyright and misuse. And that was part of the reason NVIDIA says that it's not releasing it widely. But guys, it's a bit of insight into how products like these have helped NVIDIA sort of last through different eras, from crypto to gaming, and now the undisputed AI leader.
The artistic community, Dee, because it's definitely going to feed the argument that all of AI is just building on top of stolen work, they would say.
Exactly. And I mean, there's two camps here, right? Saying that generative AI is going to inspire more creativity. It's going to be a type of co-pilot or an agent that creates new things. But you're right, all of the underlying source material, at least right now, comes from something else, comes from something that may be copyright or created by someone else. When you move into the idea of synthetic data, synthetic sounds, that's still sort of built on existing, ownership pieces that are out there. So it raises all those questions, but it's also likely to lead to a lot of new creativity, new sounds, as we heard. Maybe some more useful than a saxophone barking and howling with electronic music.
Yeah, the video is definitely worth checking out to our viewers. Definitely gives you a sense of what is possible as we move forward through this new world.
So now a little bit away from NVIDIA and earnings. What do you make of the price action in that stock since, and about mega caps going forward?
Yeah, I think what's happening in NVIDIA, 3 months ago I was on this show with Adam Parker, and the stock was at $100, and it had gotten absolutely decimated. And both of us were like, it's going higher. It's 36% higher than it was then. So are people taking money out of NVIDIA and spreading it across into financials? And sure they are.
Are they going to continue to do that?
They probably will. However, if you look at NVIDIA from here on out, I think NVIDIA becomes a star performer again as we move forward.
Why so? Why
because everyone's going to want to own it for the Blackwell ramp. The numbers are still, I mean, it trades at a sub-market multiple on 2026. That is not an appropriate valuation for a company like NVIDIA. So can it rest for a little while? Sure, but just be patient.
Are you as confident in the other names?
Look, I think all of them, if you look at the valuations for the Mag 7s, most of them are quite palatable. When you talk about Amazon or Meta, Microsoft, and several of them have rested. And you want to actually see some of these companies rest and their price rest before they start to make the next move.
All right. Well, we'll talk to you soon.
All right, I hope you're all doing great today. At the time I'm recording this video, NVIDIA is up slightly. We are right on top of the 50 MA on the daily time frame. That is the purple line on your screen. Typically, when NVIDIA breaks below the 50 MA, it hangs out underneath it for at least a few days. We will see what happens in the short term. Following earnings, it is not unusual for NVIDIA to trade lower temporarily as market participants start shifting their attention away from NVIDIA as they look for other opportunities in the market. With that being said, after NVIDIA's recent earnings report on November 20th, it is clear that the long-term thesis behind NVIDIA and the build-out of AI infrastructure remains firmly intact. Demand for NVIDIA's products is insane. NVIDIA expects to ship more Blackwell in Q4 than what they originally anticipated. The hyperscalers are still spending like crazy. NVIDIA has a massive competitive moat across both hardware and software that no company is even close to breaching, and the product roadmap from NVIDIA remains on track. This year, we get the launch of Blackwell Ultra in 2025, and Rubin in 2026. For all of these reasons, and more, I am not concerned about the short-term price action in NVIDIA because the long-term thesis remains firmly intact. I do want to briefly address the topic of the rate of progress slowing down in some AI models. Whenever there is a new breakthrough technological advancement, it is typical for there to be massive improvements from one generation to the next in the early stages of the technology, and then for the rate of progress to gradually decrease as time goes on. I'll give a couple examples to illustrate what I mean. Think back to the first 10 or so iterations of the iPhone. Back then, there was massive demand and excitement surrounding the release of each new iPhone because there were massive, noticeable improvements from one generation of product to the next. But now we go from one generation of iPhone to the next, and let's be honest, not much changes. There isn't that much of a difference between the newer model and the model that preceded it. I'll give one more example, video resolution. We went from 480p to 720p, and there was a massive noticeable improvement. Then we went from 720p to 1080p, and again, there was a massive improvement. We went from 1080p to 4K, and again, the improvement was noticeable. But now 8K displays are on the horizon, and many consumers are thinking to themselves, do I really need 8K? 4K is good enough for most displays. In both examples of the iPhone and video resolution, there were massive, noticeable improvements early on, and then the perceived rate of improvement gradually decreased as time went on. And yes, that may eventually happen with advancements in AI or with some of NVIDIA's products. But here's the thing, and I don't want you to miss this. When it comes to NVIDIA and artificial intelligence, I seriously think we are still in the early innings. Imagine if someone had given up on Apple after the release of the iPhone 6 because they thought there wasn't much room for improvement left. That person would have missed out on a lot of progress and a lot of appreciation in the years that followed. Given the current backdrop of increasing CapEx spending from the hyperscalers, a clear product roadmap from NVIDIA for the next 2 years, the demand for sovereign AI around the world, and NVIDIA's strong positioning in software, I seriously think NVIDIA should be just fine for at least the next 1 to 2 years. I think any talk about Terra Supermicro and the rate of progress in AI models are just short-term noise right now when it comes to NVIDIA. As long as everything remains peaceful in the Pacific, and as long as none of the hyperscalers significantly reduce their CapEx spending on AI, then I think NVIDIA should be just fine for at least the next 1 to 2 years. I have no idea what will happen in the short term because anything is possible. But from a long-term perspective, I seriously do think that NVIDIA's brightest days are ahead. With all of that being said, I hope you all have a great rest of the day, and I'm curious to hear your thoughts about NVIDIA in the comments below. Please leave a like on this video so more people will see it. And while you're down there, please consider subscribing. It's free, and you can always change your mind. Thanks for watching, and hopefully I'll see you in the next video.